was a muggy summer night, and I was at the peak of my boredom. Restlessly, I sat in front of my computer, wondering if I should give the dark web another look. I'd heard about a website called the Asylum Archive, a place where folks could access some supposedly forbidden knowledge. My curiosity got the better of me, so I decided to go for it. With the Tor browser as my guide, I logged into the Asylum Archive. The website was pretty plain, with a message that said, "Seeker of truth, do you want to uncover the shadows?" Underneath were a bunch of categories, each sounding more intriguing than the last. One category that caught my eye was the Lost Chronicles. It promised access to hidden historical accounts, suppressed documents, and forgotten stories. The idea of uncovering hidden history was too tempting, so I jumped into the archives. As I checked out the entries, I came across a document called The Diary of the Forgotten Explorer. The diary belonged to a 19th century explorer who went deep into the Amazon rainforest in search of a city of gold. The details were intense, talking about his tough journey through the jungle and his run-ins with indigenous tribes. But what really got my attention was his obsession with something called the Heart of Darkness. He described it as a powerful relic that could do both miracles and terrible stuff. He believed this artifact held the key to some big secrets. The diary got weirder as he kept getting deeper into the jungle. He wrote about strange rituals, nighttime whispers, and encounters with beings he couldn't explain. It sounded like the Amazon itself was against him in finding the Heart of Darkness. While reading, I felt like I wasn't alone in my room. An unsettling feeling crept over me, and I scanned around, looking for anything strange. But it was just me and the hum of my computer. Going back to the diary, I got to the final entry, written with shaky hands. He talked about a big showdown with indigenous shamans who guarded the artifact. Trying to grab the Heart of Darkness had caused a major disaster. The ground shook, the sky went dark, and his world went crazy. He wrote about a blinding light and something from another world taking over. And then, the diary just ends. Just as I finished reading, the room's lights flickered. Fear gripped me as I realized I'd uncovered something way darker than expected. The room got colder, and dread washed over me. In the dim light, I saw a shadowy figure in the corner of the room. It was tall, hooded, with long limbs, and its eyes glowed strangely. I couldn't move as it came closer, its ghostly presence filling the room. Then, the figure reached out a bony hand, and I felt a burning pain in my chest. In a last-ditch effort, I closed the laptop, cutting off my connection to the Asylum Archive. The room went back to normal. The light steady, and the shadowy figure vanished. Every time I recollect that fateful night, a shiver of fear runs down my spine. It was the late days of December, and the snowfall had blanketed our quiet neighborhood in a thick layer of white. I found myself sitting alone in my dimly lit room, engrossed in a video game on my computer. My parents were both out, leaving me with the entire house to myself. Perhaps it was the eerie atmosphere outside that got to me, but I decided to venture into something spooky. My friend Noah recently introduced me to the concept of the dark web. He spoke of it with an air of trepidation, mentioning disturbing forums and even a rumored cannibalistic gathering. My curiosity got the better of me, and I embarked on a journey into the depths of the web. Armed with the Tor browser, my gateway to the hidden layers of the internet, I delved into this digital world. I encountered a myriad of unsettling content. Hitman hiring pages, gruesome torture videos, and other disturbing corners of the web. None of it seemed quite as chilling as what I would eventually stumble upon. It was as if the dark web had saved its darkest secrets for this very moment. Then it happened. I found a link, a sinister invitation that dared me to click, warning that it was not for the faint-hearted. Without much thought, I took the bait and clicked. Little did I know that this decision would haunt me for a long time to come. As soon as I clicked that enigmatic link, my screen plunged into darkness, with only the word "live" briefly flickering on the top left corner. The darkness persisted for a moment, and then a white spotlight abruptly illuminated a ghastly scene. It was an eerie kitchen, and at its center stood a woman, her face hidden beneath a curtain of disheveled hair. She wore a soiled white patient's uniform, marred by mud stains. The kitchen itself was a gruesome sight, a sink overflowing with a mountain of dirty dishes, cobwebs hanging like spectral drapes, and cockroaches scuttling along the walls. What truly drew my attention, though, was the archaic stroller she clung to, a relic from another era, covered in layers of dust and grime. Suddenly, a haunting cry pierced the air, unmistakably that of a baby, though its voice was eerily hoarse. Confusion and dread gripped me. What on earth was unfolding before my eyes? The woman began to speak to the baby, her voice strained with an unsettling mix of tenderness and frustration. "Calm down, little angel. Stop crying." I couldn't comprehend the bizarre scene playing out. Her attempts to soothe the baby seemed only to exacerbate its cries. No, stop crying. If you don't, I will have to punish you." The woman's grip on the stroller tightened as she rocked it with increasing intensity. The baby's cries grew louder, and it was as though I had been plunged into a surreal nightmare. "Why won't you stop?" she exclaimed. "Looks like you've made up your mind." With a sudden, chilling resolve, she ceased rocking the stroller and released her grip. Instead, she turned to her right, bending down to retrieve something from the dark recesses of the room. When her hand emerged into the dim light, I recoiled in horror. She held a glass jar with a metal lid, and its contents were a grotesque revelation. Hundreds of large, red fire ants crawling within. The woman seemed impervious to the bites, and her eerie smile sent shivers down my spine. She spoke again, addressing the infant, her tone now tinged with menace. "So, you won't stop, huh? Looks like you've made up your mind." With a swift motion, she removed the lid from the jar. I watched in sheer horror as she began to release the fire ants one by one into the cradle. The baby's cries reached a fever pitch with each new insect introduced. It was a sight that left me traumatized and paralyzed. Unable to bear the torment any longer, I abruptly closed the webpage, putting an end to the grotesque spectacle. However, my respite was short-lived, as glitches on the screen redirected me to a chat box. There, a message from someone labeled "The Mother" awaited me. "Someone is knocking on your door. Why don't you open it?" A cold shiver ran down my spine as I stared at the ominous message. I waited in silence until suddenly, loud banging reverberated through my home. The pounding transformed into ferocious kicks, and the relentless ringing of the doorbell echoed in a sinister refrain. Panic surged through me. "Leave me alone or I'm calling 911, I typed back, desperately trying to end the nightmare. In a state of dread, I quickly unplugged my computer, plunging the room into darkness. Strangely, as soon as my computer went silent, so did the relentless pounding at my door. It was a chilly and rainy night, and the gloomy atmosphere outside seemed to affect the very walls of my dimly lit room. I sat alone, bent over my laptop, intrigued by the idea of the dark web. The stories and rumors about the hidden corner of the internet had always interested me. Tonight, I decided to explore it further. With the Tor browser as my guide, I dived into it. The initial sites were unsettling enough, with discussions ranging from hacking tutorials to illegal marketplaces, but my curiosity pushed me to discover something truly mysterious. That's when I found a peculiar forum named The Whispering Shadows. The forum's description promised access to hidden knowledge, secrets that were said to go beyond human understanding. I hesitated but decided to create an account. Upon entering The Whispering Shadows, an eerie silence greeted me. The threads were filled with cryptic discussions, each more unsettling than the last. People shared stories of strange encounters, unexplained events, and rituals that defied logic. One post caught my attention. It was titled, "The Ritual of the Forgotten Mirror." The author claimed that by following specific instructions, one could summon a presence from beyond. Skeptical yet intrigued, I clicked on the post and read the unsettling details. The ritual required a dark room, a mirror, and a lit candle. The instructions were oddly precise, describing the need to recite incantations and invoke a being known as the Whisperer. I couldn't shake the feeling that this was just a prank played by those who enjoyed the mystery. Curiosity got the better of me, though, and I decided to try the ritual. I turned off the lights, leaving only the flickering candle to cast eerie shadows. My reflection in the mirror appeared distorted, almost eerie. As I recited the incantations, a sense of dread washed over me. The room grew colder, and an unsettling presence hung in the air. I forced myself to continue, reciting the words to summon the Whisperer. Suddenly, the candle's flame danced wildly, casting strange shapes on the walls. In the mirror, my reflection distorted, its features twisting into an unsettling grin. Panic began to surge through me as I realized that something had gone terribly wrong. Whispers filled the room, voices coming from all directions. They spoke in an incomprehensible language, their words in a chaotic murmur. The mirror seemed to ripple with unnatural energy, and I watched in terror as a shadowy figure emerged from it. The Whisperer had been summoned, and it was a bizarre entity. A spectral being with hollow eyes and elongated limbs. Its voice echoed in my mind, a sinister whisper that unsettled me. I tried to break free from the ritual, to sever the connection I'd foolishly created, but the Whisperer had me captive, its spectral gaze piercing my soul. It whispered strange secrets and tales of despair, and I felt my mind unraveling with each passing moment. In a desperate attempt to escape, I shattered the mirror with my trembling hands, breaking the connection. Since that night, I vowed never to venture into the dark web ever again.